Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carolina Jaram of the Elevate Prize Foundation.
Hello, good afternoon. In 2012, I was 15 years into a deeply fulfilling career leading arts organizations in the city of Chicago, when I received a call I'll never forget. The then Mayor Rahm Emanuel asked me to help develop the city's first cultural plan in 25 years. It was a rare and meaningful invitation. Chicago is a cultural heavyweight, home to the Goodman and Steppenwolf theaters, the Joffrey Ballet, the Second City Comedy Club, and of course, a jazz, house, and indie music legacy and a fine arts lineage that has shaped generations. Arts and culture drive over $400 million of annual revenue in Chicago. It's like the city's famous river. The arts are a current that runs through the civic, social, and economic life. I entered that first meeting ready to contribute something bold and something transformative. But as I took my seat in that grand wood-paneled boardroom overlooking Millennium Park and the Art Institute of Chicago, I noticed something was fundamentally off. There wasn't a single artist sitting at the table. We were being asked to design a cultural plan without any of the culture makers, the future of an entire ecosystem without the very people who breathe life into it. Had we continued like that, the plan might have looked very polished, but it would have been hollow, disconnected, and largely useless. So we spoke up. We invited the artists in, not to validate the plan, but to collaborate as co-authors. And that experience crystallized something in me that I now know to be true. Sharing decision-making power with proximate leaders is not just optional. It's the only way to plan for lasting and authentic impact. When you center proximate leaders, the ones who are closest to the work and the communities it serves, you don't just get better ideas, you get to the truth. You get the trust, and you get the impact. This idea lives at the corner of what we do at the Elevate Prize Foundation.
Our foundation started with a vision. To shine a light and ignite a chain reaction of good on a global scale.
The Elevate Prize Foundation is on a mission to bring visibility to the work of changemakers.
And to make good famous.
I just can't tell you how brilliant this concept is.
I can't think of a better thing to make famous.
Visibility is what creates the catalytic effect to reach millions on a global scale.
Storytelling is the bedrock of democracy. You can show people that the world is really a good place.
We have continued to always use our microphone to stand for things that we believe in.
That's generation to generation change. That is what we do.
At Elevate, we exist to find and amplify the world changers and the culture shapers, the ones already doing the work, the leaders who are embedded in the realities that they seek to transform, not observing from a safe and clouded distance. We invest in narrative power, because if you want to transform systems, you must transform culture, and culture moves through storytelling. In just 5 years, our unique approach has created over 31 billion media impressions, and our content has been viewed tens of millions of times across platforms and media around the world. This year, we launched Elevate Studios, and our first docuseries drew more than 3 million views worldwide. But the true measure is not just in the reach alone, it's in the growth. Our most recent global cohort of prize winners increased their funding by 76% during their time with us. Their reach expanded by 42%, bringing their impact and their work to millions more. Why? Because if you sharpen a leader's story and expand their platform, people don't just hear it, they feel it and they act. As our winner, Namia Mahajan of India's Rocket Learning has said, with Elevate storytelling guidance, we went from being effective but under-recognized to having confident identity that signals innovation, scale, and trust. Elevate was key to our transformation from an early-stage organization on the way to becoming an institution. From having 50,000 educators using their curriculums across India to now having over 350,000, one in 4 villages across the country since the time she began working with Elevate. This is cultural leverage, and this is where you come in. We are at a tipping point, a moment that demands a new era of impact, that demands moral courage and institutional imagination. But making real, lasting change is never simple. It is messy, and it takes time. At Elevate, we embrace that complexity. We identify, vet, and support the most proximate, high-impact leaders, and we give our partners, our funding, media, partners around the world more than feel-good moments. We deliver brand lift, earned media, and employee engagement that resonates far beyond the boardroom. You don't have to choose between doing good and doing well. The most effective partnerships today must do both. Because culture change is not a side project, it is the main event. And if you miss the culture shift, you miss the heart and the soul and the minds of the people, and you miss the chance to design the future that we all want and deserve. We're building a new architecture of impact, powered by truth tellers, architects, activists, deeply embedded leaders who don't just inspire empathy, but ignite it, who don't just ask hard questions, but invite us with them to seek the solutions. So let's meet the moment and build the future together. Please welcome to the stage 2025 Elevate Prize winner and co-founder of and CEO of Gold House, Bing Chen. Thank you.
Hello, hello. First and foremost, happy birthday to Carolina. She chose impact over individual. And thank you for helping Elevate. As you know, it's completely changed the trajectory of Gold House and certainly for me as a whole human being. So thank you for that. As you just heard from Carolina, we do believe that culture is the foundation of so many broader societal ills. You can call it loneliness, you can call it wealth disparity, you can call it political divisiveness, but we do believe that culture is that foundation. Let me explain. One is, we all know about the loneliness epidemic. Dr. Vivek Murthy, our last great Surgeon General, posited that this epidemic is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, unsung epidemics of our time, commensurate to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Gen Z, don't do that. Why are we not connected anymore? It's because our cultural infrastructure has eroded. I think we all know that for centuries, we used to convene in churches, in temples, in public plazas. We used to believe in faith. We used to trust our governments, but belief in both of these has halved in the last half century. When what we believe changes, it doesn't just narrow who we are, it also alters and narrows where we belong. Let's also look at economics. Wealth in general is not just about numbers, though for some of you it might be. It's also about narrative. Who gets celebrated is who gets trusted, is who gets invested in. Let's not forget that over the past few decades, many of us as venture capitalists, bankers, investors have been told that women in certain communities of color are too risky. Never mind the facts that show that despite that, women actually found the most profitable companies. Never mind the fact that a litany of sociological research shows that your social network from birth, who you scrimmage with, who you rehearse with, who you eat with, necessarily and directly influences who you can become. And of course, my personal favorite, who you marry is the single greatest determinant of whether you will leap economic classes in this lifetime. And finally, of course, is political divisiveness. If culture is soft to any of you who are cynical, then why is there so much hoopla over a suspended late-night talk show? Pew, as we all know, has stated that Americans in particular, for those of you who don't know Americans, we're in America right now, and we're sorry for that, but also thank you for coming. America is more polarized than it's been in 5 decades. In fact, we are more split on almost every political issue than we've been in 5 decades. We all know that the majority of us consume a disproportionate percentage of information, not truth, information, from social platforms that are incentivized by engagement and watch time, which means that they are actually further siloing our own echo chambers. What does that make us believe? And so I, as perhaps the most cynical person in the room, always thought that culture was something soft. But when you hear things like invest in culture, you are not just investing in something entertaining or sparkly. You're investing in what we believe, who we can become, and where we belong. Further, you're investing in our future. 70% of Gen Z, by the way, identifies or codifies their identity not by nationality, not by faith, but by what they love and their own culture. And at this point, investing in culture as a day-to-day citizen is arguably the only thing that each of us and all of us can actually do. So with that, we'll toss it
Thank you,
back to
Bang.
Carly.
If culture is the foundation, right? Yep. So if culture is the foundation, then story is the blueprint. And like Gold House at Elevate, we know that to transform systems, like I said earlier, we must transform culture, and we must do that through storytelling. And that's why we've launched Elevate Studios, the studio of the future, creating the stories that need to be told and ensuring that they reach audiences around the world and center our proximate leaders. But we can't do it alone. We are looking for partners, and we hope many of them are here today with us. If you have stories, if you have resources, if you have channels, help us, reach out to us. Let us elevate together what matters most and help us to make good famous. Thank you.